When was the last time you sat down with your partner and said, cool, in this agreement we have together, what do you see as my role? If you don't make the time for your relationships, then you've decided that contract is not worth your time. When you grow together, it's the most beautiful thing. You share goals, you share visions, you share purpose and direction in that relationship. There is one thing that destroys more marriages than anything else, and 98% of men are making this one mistake. You see, when you do this, it means that you drift apart and disconnect. A disconnection begins to occur, rifts begin to happen, and this is what causes marriages to fall apart. And what I'm talking about here is not making the time to connect, communicate, or be around your partner. It's very hard to make the time when you're successful in your business or career and you get too busy for your relationship. However, the costs of not doing this are dire. So in today's podcast episode, we're going to break down how you actually make the time for your relationships, how you can actually ask more powerful questions to give and get what you want from your partner, and ultimately how to reconnect and rekindle that spark you had at the beginning. If you get value out of this, make sure to give it 5 stars or a thumbs up wherever you're listening, and strap on and take lots of notes for this episode of the Empowered Man podcast. This is the final part of the social contract series where we're going to be discussing how to upgrade the social contract with your partner or wife. Last episode, we talked about step 1 of the partner and wife, and the previous 2 episodes, we discussed the social contract you have with yourself. If you haven't watched those episodes, I highly recommend you go and listen to them or watch them. But to recap, the social contract is an unwritten or an unsaid set of rules and expectations in our relationships. We have them with our partner or wife. We expect her to act a certain way or do certain things for us. She expects the same from us. We have it with our employees or our staff. We have it with our children. These expectations are often unsaid, and because they're unsaid, they are unmet, which causes all sorts of challenges and all sorts of problems in the relationship. Now, in the previous episode, we discussed the tools you can use to understand your partner better and to communicate better. But the biggest challenge you're going to have in a relationship is time, especially if you're listening to this like most of our listeners and you're a high performance man. If you are a man who works hard to provide for his family, which means you're constantly grinding, you're constantly busy, you're constantly under pressure and stress, then first things first, I fucking commend you. There are a lot of men out there who are on the benefit. There are men who sell drugs. There are men who do not work or add any value to society. If you're a hardworking man, running a business, employing people, there is a lot of fucking pressure and stress on your shoulders. And I don't know about you, but there have been years in my life where I feel I have the weight of the world on my shoulders. Because of that pressure and that stress that comes from within, and from all the fires you got to put out and the people you got to manage and the pressure that you've got to create, it means that all your energy and your time and your focus goes into providing for your family. But if you're providing for your family, yet you're feeling unappreciated and unwanted at home, that means that that social contract is not working. And for most men, the first problem is that they don't make enough time for their relationship. If you want to see if you're one of these guys, just ask yourself, how many hours a week do I spend on business or work? Is it 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 hours? And then you ask yourself, how much time, focused time, do I spend working on my relationship? And for most men, in that social contract, the answer is fucking nothing. It really is. It's shocking. Just ask, how much time and energy do I spend focused on or in the business? How much time or energy do I spend focused on or in my relationship? I'm not talking about hanging out while you're on opposite ends of the couch or while you're in the car driving. I'm talking about focused fucking time in the relationship. That's the first problem most men have, which leads to the second problem. Because you don't make time, there is no time to reset clear expectations and roles in your relationship. In the previous episode, we talked about desires and expectations. Taking it a step further, in a relationship, there are roles. If your role is to provide and protect and put food on the table, then your partner's role typically, unless she works as well, is to look after the household. Now, in that social contract, these things aren't communicated. They are expectations that we expect without sharing them. We don't change those expectations. We don't communicate those expectations because we avoid having the difficult conversations to get to know each other as we grow and as we change. Expectations and roles in a relationship are constantly changing. In a business, they're constantly changing. As the marketplace evolves, as new marketing goes out, sales, etc., in our relationships, we avoid those difficult conversations. So we don't make time for our relationships because we're always busy. We don't have clarity on the roles and expectations that we both have of each other. And we avoid the difficult conversations around these things because why? They take time, they take energy, and they take effort. Have you ever had a long day and you come home after a busy grind session and you just don't have the fucking energy? So there's no energy, there's no time, which leads to the fourth problem. You don't have regular check-ins with each other. Now, if you don't have regular check-ins with each other, how could you possibly know what's going on for the two of you? And this is what leads us to stop communicating and growing apart. We can either grow together, like two train tracks on the same path, same vision, same values, or we can grow apart. This is why so many men, 50% divorce rate in Australia and New Zealand, if you're listening internationally, similar. And it's even higher for business owners or high performers because they're working all the time. So now we understand step one. This is where most men are. If you can relate to any of that, it's not your fault. What's the opposite? When we rewrite the social contract with our partner, the first possibility is giving your relationship the time and the respect that it deserves. Listen to that language. Your relationship deserves a certain level of respect between the two of you. And your relationship deserves a certain degree of time. That number is going to be unique to you. If things have gone far gone and you can really relate to the problems, it might take longer. You give your relationship the time and respect it deserves. And when you do that, you both get clear on the expectations and the roles in the relationship. When was the last time you sat down with your partner and said, cool, in this agreement we have together, what do you see as my role? What do I see as your role? Do our beliefs around each of our roles align? Are we on the same page here? Have you ever had an argument because one of you feels like the other one's not doing enough? Or because you feel like you're not understood or appreciated? It's because we don't communicate these things, and we don't communicate because we don't have any clarity. The way that you get into this is you lean into the difficult conversations. Like you force yourself to have difficult conversations and you become committed to knowing about that person. You know what your partner's thinking. You know what your partner's feeling. You know why they act the way they act. You know why they're angry. You know how you could step up. You become committed to leaning into difficult conversations and knowing. And again, it's so hard to do this if you're busy, you have no time, you have no energy. Why would you make that effort? Because it is fucking effort. How do you put this together? You've got to make the time for it. Like you got to schedule and follow through on consistent love connection forums. I'm going to get into a second what they are, but all you got to think about is like, if I want to give my relationship the time and energy it deserves and rewrite that social contract, if I want to get clear on both of our roles and expectations, I've got to lean into difficult conversations and I've got to become committed to knowing that person and knowing myself. The only way you're going to do that is by scheduling it in. Treat it like a meeting. Treat it like you would business or work. You don't just not rock up to a job. You show up whether you feel like it or not. And when you do this, when you schedule the time and you make the commitment to do the exercise I'm about to share with you, you start to learn about each other. You start to learn about each other, and therefore you learn and grow together. If you don't continue to communicate and you don't make time for this, you grow apart. When you commit to doing this, you learn about each other, and therefore you learn and grow together. And that's what it's all about. If your relationship is currently not where you want it to be, it means that contract is broken because you haven't been growing together. When you grow together, it's the most beautiful thing. You share goals, you share visions, you share purpose and direction in that relationship. So there are 5 principles that I want to share with you that you can write down and remind yourself of whenever you want to improve the social contract with your partner or wife, or when you feel like things aren't working in your relationship. The first thing to remind yourself of, number one, is that true love is fucking hard. True love is fucking hard. Relationships are fucking hard. They really are. At the beginning of a relationship, it's effortless because you're not actually loving. You're in love. It's infatuation. It's lust. It's excitement. It's before the kids and before the problems and before the challenges, and the chemicals in your brain are fucking firing and you're horny and excited and it's amazing. And then 6 to 12 to 18 months into a relationship, you start to truly get to know someone. And you start to realize that you're completely different people. You had a different upbringing. You have different beliefs around money. You have different beliefs around what's right or wrong. You have different interests. For Rosie and I, her beliefs around money were completely different to mine. She was very, very stressed about it. She had credit card debt. She dealt with that. I was always taught to save. We have different beliefs around parenting and all these sorts of things. You don't realize these things. What you realize is true love is fucking hard. And anything that's hard in life does two things. One, it helps you grow and become better because difficult things cause growth, but they also require a tremendous amount of effort, work, energy, and time. If you're getting value from this content and you want to upgrade yourself, you want to fix your marriage or relationships, you want to find work-life balance, or you want to be successful and winning in life, then SMS the number on the screen right now saying upgrade. SMS upgrade to 0482 097 778. That's +61 482 097 778. SMS upgrade to +61 482 097 778. And what we'll do is we'll send you all of our best content on health, wealth, and relationships completely for free. So SMS the number on the screen right now to get on our list, and we'll send you all the stuff you need to win. So if you understand that true love is fucking hard and that it requires a tremendous amount of effort, time, energy, input, then we have two options here. There is the cost of inaction of not making the time. Being too busy, being too stressed, not making the time. There is a COI, cost of inaction, and an ROI, return on investment. For most men, the cost of inaction of not making the time to do true love and to shift the social contract is divorce, disconnection, not getting respect or appreciation, not feeling loved, working your ass off and buying everything and providing and starting a home only to lose it all. Now, this might not happen. Like, you might be in a relationship for 20, 30 years and not do this, but there's a 50% divorce rate. Do you want to roll the dice? There is a cost of inaction to not doing this. There's also a return on investment. Yes, you've got to invest time and effort and energy, which means less time and effort and energy in business or work, less growth, less money, less providing. But the return on investment is more support from your partner in your business or career. It's intimacy and sex, which we want as men. It's being respected. It's being appreciated. Just like investing money in the share market or property, there's a return on investment. There's also a cost of inaction of not investing at the right time. So if you understand love is hard and there's a cost of inaction and return on investment, that makes it more likely you're going to do something about it. Principle number 2, clarity is king in relationships. Clarity is king in relationships. Every single podcast episode in the Empowered Man podcast, I think we're up to episode 54, all it does is it fills your blind spots and it gives you clarity. You've learned some things if you've listened this far and you're like, fuck, that makes sense. Light bulb. You didn't have clarity on that thing before you heard it. When you have clarity something, you shine a floodlight on that thing. If your wife says, I don't love you anymore, and you didn't have clarity on the things that weren't working, you sort of knew they weren't working, but you swept them under the rug, you didn't shine a floodlight on it, it hits you for 6. Clarity is king in relationships. You've got to know them and they've got to know you, and you've got to know each other intimately. And the only way you can know each other intimately is through communication. Communication is the key to connection. We talked about that in the previous episode. So when you understand true love is fucking hard, but there is a return on investment of learning about that person, clarity is king. You got to know someone. That means you're going to have some hard fucking conversations. Like, do you listening this far think in your life, there are things right now that aren't working in your relationship that you don't want to know about, that you don't want to address because it's going to be fucking painful? Of course there are. So principle number 3 is easy conversations, hard life. Hard conversations, easy life. Easy conversations, hard life. Meaning if you take the easy conversation, you sweep things under the rug, you don't ask good questions, you pretend like things aren't going wrong, that's going to cause a very hard life. But when you have the hard conversations, tell me what I could do better. Tell me how I'm fucking up in this relationship. I do work too much. I'd love to know how I can bring that down. You are going to have an easier life. Now, for most men, the problem isn't that they hear this and don't go, this is good. Like, this makes sense. Of course, love is fucking hard. Of course, I've got to make more time. Of course, I've got to know my partner better. Of course, I get to have hard conversations. Of course, that makes sense. However, most men struggle to communicate with their partner on an intimate and deep level because we've never been taught how to deal with emotions. We've never been taught how to be vulnerable, and we simply lack a framework. So what I'm about to share with you is the framework to deeply understand someone and to get deep clarity on where your social contract sits with your partner or wife. And the 4th principle is called the LCF. The LCF stands for 5 things. First, the title of LCF is the Love Connection Forum. This is very similar to our love meeting that we taught in a previous podcast episode. A love connection forum is where you first clarify feelings. So the second piece of LCF is let's clarify feelings. In your relationship, she's going to feel things and you're going to feel things. What we tend to do is we share those feelings when we're upset or angry or really happy. We don't share them when we're calm and leveled down. So once a week, you have a love connection forum, and the first thing you do is you sit down and say, let's clarify feelings. How do you feel? How do I feel? The third piece of LCF is let's clarify the facts. The facts are often different to the feelings. You might feel like she doesn't appreciate you, but the fact is she does appreciate you. She thinks about it all the time. She just doesn't communicate it. You might feel like her job is easy and that she doesn't do enough around the house, but the facts are she hasn't slept in years and she's exhausted. The facts and the feelings don't always match up. And what matters more in a relationship, in a business, in life is the facts, because feelings are fleeting and they come and go. When you feel depressed, you don't look at the facts that you live in a first world country and that you make money in your business. When you feel like you can't find good staff, you ignore the facts that there's thousands of them out there. So Love Connection Forum, let's clarify feelings, let's clarify facts. Number 4, let's commit moving forward. So now that you know the feelings and the facts with each other, I'm going to show you how to do this in a second. What are you going to commit to in that relationship to rewrite that social contract? Like, what are you committed to doing? What are you committed to not doing moving forward? And then number 5, let's communicate forever. This is the LCF framework. We've created it here at The Empowered Man. You can just have it, and this is how you remember it. LCF, Love Connection Forum. First, let's clarify the feelings. Second, let's clarify the facts. Third, let's commit moving forward or forward. And then let's communicate forever. That's the framework. I'm going to give you some powerful questions to follow that framework in a second. The 5th principle to remember: if you don't do this, there's a very high possibility that you're going to grow apart in your relationship. Because the principle is, in life, you either grow together or you grow apart. I've got friends I no longer spend time with, I no longer talk to. We've grown apart. In life, you either grow together or you grow apart. Things change. People change. Values change. Vision changes. Values are the things that are important to you. What was important to you at the beginning of your relationship might be different to what's important to you now. And the same could be said for your partner. They might have different beliefs, political beliefs, beliefs around COVID, the government, this, that. People change, values change, vision changes, and you either grow together or you grow apart. If you don't make the time, the energy and effort to have these sorts of conversations, to clarify your feelings, to clarify your facts, to commit to each other, to communicate, then it's very difficult to not grow apart. This is why so many relationships are fixable and salvageable, because if you do this, magic begins to happen. So how do we tie this all together? There are 4 strategies or 5 strategies I'm going to share with you right now to put this into action, to do your first love connection forum if you're currently in a relationship. If you're not, it's a powerful tool for the future. Strategy number 1, identify the cost of inaction, the COI, of not making the time for your relationships. Like, get very clear. What is the cost of inaction? We know that if we don't market or sell in our business, the cost of inaction is a failed business and bankruptcy. We know that if we don't eat well and exercise, the cost of inaction could be a heart attack. If we smoke and drink or do drugs, the cost of inaction, pain is an amazing motivator. What's the cost of inaction of not making time for your relationships? Is it a divorce? Is it a broken family? Is it another man raising your kids? Strategy number 2, identify the return on investment of making the time for love connection forums. What's the return on investment of doing this exercise? Intimacy, sex, connection, love, appreciation. And then strategy number 3, once you know the cost of inaction, the return on investment, ask yourself a simple question. What do I know and what don't I know about the social contract between my wife and I? Sounds a bit airy-fairy, but let me explain. What do I know about her? In the previous episode, we talked about what are her love languages. What do I know about her expectations, her desires? What do I know about her thoughts? What do I know about her feelings? What do I know about her actions and reactions? And what don't I know? What don't I know? How much of that is just a story? Do you know the facts of why she gets upset once a month, or why she does this or why she does that? Often it's just a story. You realize there's a lot of stuff that you don't know. Clarity is king, and a lack of clarity means you don't know. A lot of the time we don't know we have problems in our relationship. We don't know she's unhappy. We don't know that we know to a degree, but we don't have complete clarity, and clarity is king. So once you've asked yourself these questions, I'm going to share them with you in a second. You're going to schedule an LCF, a Love Connection Forum, and you're going to go through these following questions. Here they are for you. Write them down if you're listening on a podcast platform, or if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see me share my screen. So question number 1, you're going to do this exercise by yourself. How much time do I spend working on my business/wealth each week? How much time do you spend working on your business/wealth? Write down the number of hours. In contrast, how much time do I spend working on my relationship each week? Write down the answer. Once you know how much time you spend on each one, what is the cost of inaction of not making the time for your relationship? Get deep. Be ruthless. Be ruthless about the facts. I've got a quote up here on my wall, actually. I'm going to share the screen here. You cannot make a series of good decisions without first confronting the brutal facts. Be brutal here. What could happen if you don't make the time for your relationship? What's the cost of inaction? What is the return on investment of making the time for your relationship? What's the ROI of doing this? Then ask yourself, what are the things you would like to know about your partner's thoughts, feelings, actions, and reactions? What don't you know that you would like to know about how they think, how they feel, what's coming up for them, why they do what they do, why they react? What do you want to know about them? How do you want to understand them better? Because love is fucking hard, but clarity is king. And what are the things your partner might like to know about you? Your thoughts, feelings, actions, and reactions. And then ask yourself, what are my lessons from completing this exercise? And when will I have my LCF with my partner about this exercise and my lessons? When will I ask the questions, and what are any actions to take from here? So you do this exercise by yourself. You ask yourself these questions. What it does is it gives you clarity on what you think is going on. It gives you clarity on your partner. It gives you clarity on the social contract. Taking it a step further, these are the questions to ask each other. So you sit down, you schedule a Love Connection Forum. You explain to your partner, I learned this thing on a podcast. It's fucking weird, but do you want to try it? Just want to get to know you better. Like, we haven't done this in years. We used to do this all the time. We used to get to know each other. And this is the question you ask each other, alternating. So you ask her, how would you describe my role in this relationship? So how would you describe, Tony, how would you describe my role in this relationship? Am I a father? Am I a provider? How would you describe my role? What's my role here? And then she asks you the exact same question. So you ask her, now you ask me, how would you describe my role in the relationship? And you tell each other what you think their role is. She tells you what she thinks your role is. You tell her what you think her role is. Question number 2, we ask, how would you describe your own role in this relationship? So then we say, cool, this is what I think my role is. What do you think your role is? Right? What do you think your role is? You find out what you both think about each other and what you both think about the person in the mirror. Then you ask yourself, you ask her, what do you expect from me in this relationship? So you say to your wife, what do you expect from me? And she says to you, what do you expect from me? Find out what your expectations are. And these are 2 very powerful questions. You ask your partner, what do you feel is currently working in our relationship? What's working well? What expectations are being met? What is working in our relationship? She asks you the same thing. And then the most difficult question, what do you feel is not working in the relationship? See how we're doing feelings? What do you feel is not working? And this can hurt. You work too much. We don't communicate well. All you want is sex. This is hard to hear. But the truth will set you free, and clarity is king. What do you feel is not working in our relationship? What would you like me to stop doing? What would you like me to start doing? What would you like me to do more of? What would you like me to do less of? And a very powerful question, what did I do at the beginning of the relationship that you miss? You ask your partner, what did I do at the beginning that you miss? You got me flowers, you did this, you did that. Cool, let's do something. And then the final question before we start looking at solutions is, after asking these questions, how would you rate our relationship out of 10? 1 is terrible, 10 is unbreakable. You ask your partner, out of 10, 10 is like, we'll never get divorced, it's amazing. And 1 is, we're about to get divorced. How would you rate our relationship on a scale of 1 to 10? When you have that number, you can make it better and improve upon it. From there, what is the outcome we both want here? What is our joint vision? Remember, you grow together or you grow apart. Do you and your partner currently have goals, values, and a vision? Do you have a vision of your future? Do you know what you want? And once you understand that vision, what can we take action on moving forward to understand each other better and to achieve our vision together? So write a list. What are the things you can do together? What can you take action on moving forward to understand each other and achieve that vision together? And then you're going to choose one thing on that list to commit to doing for the next 7 days. And then you do the exercise again. You can do it in 7 days. You can do it in a week. You can do it in a month. Doesn't matter. Now, this is a lot of questions. Love is fucking hard. What's the return on investment of asking these conversations? Because ultimately, to improve the social contract you have with your partner, you got to know them. You got to understand them. And when do we ever ask questions like this? We don't. So whether you do this or not is up to you. You might listen to this and go, this fucking makes sense. Yeah, I understand. You might be afraid to do it. You might go and fucking take action on it right away. Regardless of what you decide to do, just remember that if you don't make the time for your relationships, then you've decided that contract is not worth your time. And that's when people tear contracts up. Ultimately, you get to make a decision. As a business owner, as a husband, as a father, as a man, how important is your marriage? How important is the example you set for your children of what a healthy relationship looks like? And how much time are you willing to invest into that relationship so that it flourishes and grows? We talk to so many men in the Empowered Man program. One guy does 40 million a year. His wife left him. What's the point of making money and being successful if you lose your family? It comes down to connection, and the LCF, the Love Connection Forum, is such a powerful tool. So, if you want to improve your relationship, I want you to do this. Identify the cost of inaction, of not making the time for this. Identify the return on investment of making the time for this, and ask yourself these questions I just shared with you. They're very powerful and they work if you do the work. If you got value from this, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment on YouTube. Otherwise, if you're listening on a podcast platform, feel free to give it 5 stars and click any of the links below. And if you do get value from this and you want us to help you build this out, then click the first link down below. You'll be able to book a call with my coaching team and we'll build out a plan for you, whether you work with us or not, on how to do this. Because ultimately, it's all about becoming the best man you can be for your family. So I hope you got some value from this. If you did, make sure to share, and we'll see you for the next episode of the Empowered Man podcast. If you're getting value from this content and you want to upgrade yourself, you want to fix your marriage or relationships, you want to find work-life balance, or you want to be successful and winning in life, then SMS the number on the screen right now saying upgrade. SMS upgrade to 0482 097 778. That's +61 482 097 778. SMS upgrade to +61 482 097 778. And what we'll do is we'll send you all of our best content on health, wealth, and relationships completely for free. So SMS the number on the screen right now to get on our list, and we'll send you all the stuff you need to win.